read that and I said, oh, Jesus. Whew, this is too much for me. Hi, guys. Today we're talking about Stay With Me by Nigerian author Ayobami Adebayo. This is a book that I read, I think, in 2017 or so. I had created a review of the book, but I didn't publish it here on YouTube. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because I read it again this year, 2022, and I gleaned a whole different perspective um, from this book. So here's the thing. Spoilers ahead. I'm going to tell you all kinds of things about this book that you probably don't want to know if you haven't read the book yet, okay? So please, if you don't want to read it or you don't want to hear about any spoilers, please just go and read the book and then come back, okay? All right, so this in this book, we first meet Yejide and Akin. They are two university students. They quickly fall in love. I fell in love with them too because, I mean, they were cute. They were cute. They were a sexy couple, you know, kind of like, I guess today what you would say couple goals, okay? They were just very successful. They get married and they continue to be successful. And then somewhere along the line in their marriage, they find that they are suffering from infertility. And this, whew, this just became, it made the book crazy. It just turned the book all the way nuts, okay, when it shouldn't have been that way. So a lot of things about this book that I really liked, okay. Before I even get into the story, let me just say that the author brilliantly juxtaposed the growth and the history of Nigeria along with the growth of Yejide and Akin's marriage. Okay, so we learn a lot about Nigeria, about governmental changes, political coups, political problems, all the growing pains that a country would experience after independence. Well, this is way after independence because this book takes place in the 1980s. All right, so I learned a lot about the country of Nigeria, more than I knew previously. I like to learn a little bit about each African country, but I did learn a lot more than I had known previously. So back to Yejide and Akin. They're married, they're doing well, they're having problems with conceiving a child. And this drives Yejide to take some really drastic measures to become a mom, to the point where her mental health becomes incredibly compromised throughout the book. Okay, here are the spoilers. Number one, Akin is impotent. He's had this problem since he was a young man. I think probably as a teenager or something. I don't know what happened to him. Something happened, okay? He has this brother who knows that he has this problem. And Akin didn't tell his wife that he has this issue, that he's impotent, okay? This is a serious medical issue because many people want children, and if this is the one factor that's prohibiting you from having a child, it's something that you definitely have to deal with as a couple. So Akin doesn't tell Yejide that he's impotent, and she is incredibly innocent and naive to the point where she doesn't understand that, she doesn't understand. I don't think she knows that this is even a medical condition. She doesn't, whatever it is that she's learned in school about human biology and reproduction, it just stops at, male and female coming together, but she doesn't know about how the male body is supposed to work. So, in order to produce a child, that is. And so he is not able to give her a baby. And she goes to all kinds of lengths, like I said, to be able to become a mother. One of the problems that she deals with in this book is her mother-in-law. Whew. Okay, so I know that there are, in African societies, and in a lot of societies, but in African societies, children are paramount. They're the reason why people come together, they marry. It's to have a child, produce a family. But here's the deal. In African societies, if you don't have children, you are quickly ostracized. There are different ways that members of your family or your in-laws can make you feel as if you are a complete pariah, okay? So number one, mother-in-law is on her tail. Like, you're not giving my son a child. Why don't you just let him go find another woman so that he can, have a kid? That's the problem here, right? So the problem that we experience is that, again, in African societies, when a couple isn't able to produce a child, it's often seen as the woman's fault. Okay? Oh, she's not woman enough. Oh, she's barren. Oh, she's useless. Oh, she's no good. Oh, she can't do anything for you. What's her purpose? Many times, nobody ever thinks, maybe it's the man. Maybe he's the problem. Maybe we ought to check him out. Okay? And a lot of men, I think, there's a certain level of machismo, that is displayed within, these societies where men are supposed to be strong and they're supposed to be able to produce kids, whether within your marriage or outside of your marriage. It's like, okay, the more the merrier. Whether you can provide for them financially, whether you can put food in their mouths, it doesn't matter. Have the kids to prove that you are a man, okay, to the people around you. And so he doesn't tell anybody that he's impotent. His mother doesn't know. Mother is putting pressure on his wife, and she's to the point where she's feeling less than the person that she is. A lot of these problems can be solved with medical intervention. He does go to a doctor to seek help, but it seems like there's nothing that this doctor can do. We're talking 1980s here, so see it for what it is. Okay, it's not like today where there's IVF and there's, all sorts of different fertility measures that a couple can take in order to produce a child. So we're out here, and poor Yejude is over here going to see spiritual doctors. She's having to carry a goat up an entire hill. I read that and I said, oh, Jesus. Whew, this is too much for me. She's carrying a goat to go see the spiritualist. He's over here telling her, bring X amount of money, bring me this, bring me that, come on different days. And to the point where, her body physiologically begins to show signs of pregnancy, but there is no pregnancy. This is how far she's going with this. And it gets to the point where, her mother-in-law tells Yeji, where the mother-in-law tells Hakeem, here's a nice young lady I've chosen for you. Go have a child with her, okay? And raise the child, have your wife raise the child as hers. Those sorts of things do happen, or so I've heard. Now, you can imagine from what I've described about this mother-in-law that his family is quite dysfunctional. Okay, quite dysfunctional. There's a situation that takes place in this book with Akeem's brother. I'm not even going to tell you because it's too much for me. Now we're going into crazy territory, okay? But I want you to read the book just so that you can get to that part about the craziness there. The thing about this book is that it also shines light on, genetics and how sometimes, two people do need to do some sort of genetic testing before they marry one another. When my husband and I were married, in the county that we married in, when we were applying for our marriage license or marriage certificate, there was a booklet, about getting tested for genetic disorders before you have a child. And that was, that's good to know, but I think people should know that before they start applying for marriage licenses. You should go and get tested and find out your options. Know what kind of problems you can give to your child genetically before you marry one another, so that you can make these choices whether you do want to produce a child with this person whom you love oh so dearly, right? Or you can choose to adopt, or take different measures like surrogacy, or just different ways to bring a child into this world, aside from the two of you coupling together to create one. So with this book, I have to say that I cried probably the first third of the book, because I felt for Yejide. I felt her pain. I felt her wanting a child. But then, like I said, you realize, she's very naive, and it makes you just wonder, like, what happened? What went wrong here? How do you not know how the male body works? But I mean, these sorts of things happen. If a woman has never been with a man other than the person whom she marries, sexually that is, then all sorts of problems can spring up that she's never encountered or experienced before. So I understood that part of the book. The book is also about, primarily, it's really about, and I hate to use this buzzword, but toxic masculinity, in that Akeem knew that he had an issue that he could have shared with his wife. And as she was experiencing these mental problems, he was just sitting back and allowing it to happen. That's not love. You can't love somebody and let them go crazy. Like, who does things like that? You know what I mean? The first time that I read it, I thought, oh, okay, this is a love story. He loves her and he's keeping a secret from her because, he just wants to do everything that he can for her to make her so happy at any cost. And then I read it again and I was like, no. And I probably felt that way because I was pregnant when I read the book again earlier this year, and I was already feeling really crummy and just angry about everything, and I was in a bad mood. So I think I was in a bad mood when I read the book, and it just made perfect sense to me what was happening. In the end, I think Yejide did get a little bit of redemption by setting her own terms and how she wanted to go about her life, aside from Akeem, after the treatment that he had put her through. In the end, I really wanted him to be punished somehow. And I don't think he was. I don't. And that just made me a little bit angry. But I'm happy that she was able to do things her own way in the end. I think I'm going to end this here because I don't want to talk anymore about this book. I think I've given away enough. But there's a lot of juice in it. You have to read the book because there's a lot more than what I've actually said about this book, okay? So today we have talked about Stay With Me by Nigerian author Ayobami Adebayo. Thank you very much, and I will see you again next